Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Superfan.
And we're just hanging out with Grogu on a Sunday night. And we just finished watching the movie The Last Waltz from 1978, directed by Martin Scorsese. And Scorsese, thank you, appreciate that. Scorsese, okay. Take two. Yeah, I always have trouble with names sometimes. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Superfan. So yeah, considered one of the greatest rock concert documentary films ever. And for some reason, this film has escaped me over the decades. I've never seen it till now. I'm assuming you have not seen it till now?
No.
Never seen it till now. And Grogu, we know, hasn't seen it till now.
No.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, Grogu, I think Grogu is mostly into hip-hop. So this was kind of a new thing for him.
Yeah.
Want to talk about this film, want to react to it here. I think one of the reasons why this film escaped me was the time that it came out. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, I have a very vivid memory, not about this movie because I didn't see it, but about seeing the trailer for this movie. And let's see, 1978, I would have been 16 years old. And at this point, I'm kind of in between listening to, kind of going from top 40 radio to FM rock radio. But a lot of these names I was not familiar with. Maybe a few. I knew who Ringo Starr was, of course. I knew who Bob Dylan was, even though I didn't listen to him. I knew who Bob Dylan was. That probably had more to do with my older brother being so into Dylan.
Yeah.
But a lot of the names that I saw in the trailer, I was just like, huh? And I was watching that trailer, the commercial for it, with some of my younger cousins who were around my age who did know, because they grew up in a family where they were more exposed to this music. So they did know who was in this, and they were very impressed, I remember. And me, I was like, I don't know. Of course, I lived a much more disciplined and sheltered youth than they did, and began to discover rock and roll on my own, because my parents certainly weren't into it. That's for sure. Whereas their parents were. So there was a difference. But now, of course, I look at this and it's like, I know all these names pretty much. And I wouldn't have recognized most of the songs back then, but I recognize all of them now. But I think that's why it escaped me, was just the time that it came out in.
Probably.
Yeah, around that time.
It escaped me too.
Oh, good to hear I'm not the only one. But of course, you're coming from a different era than me as well. Even more than I came from. You're coming from a very different era. So, greatest concert film documentary. Any initial thoughts? Do you feel like it lives up to that reputation?
It was good, but I have one I prefer, and you're gonna know. My favorite concert documentary is gonna be Rattlin' Home.
There you go. Hands down, of course. Yeah, because you're a big U2 fan, and hey, that's par for the course. Nothing wrong there. I was just thinking, probably because you like Van Morrison a lot, that was probably your favorite moment in the film, Van Morrison's performance.
He was really good, but I like the song Up on Cripple Creek too.
Yeah. Yeah, Grogu was mentioning he really liked that song too.
Yeah.
But I had a couple. I enjoyed the whole thing, but there were certainly some moments that particularly stood out for me. I really enjoyed Joni Mitchell's performance. Really enjoyed her. I enjoyed the guitar interplay between Robbie Robertson and Eric Clapton. That was, I thought, pretty exciting. I enjoyed the performance with the Staple Singers. That was a studio performance. There were moments in the film, a few that were not shot during the concert. They were shot separately.
Well, they were shot in a theater, just not with an audience.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, and you can kind of tell because you can see how the background's completely different. But those performances were just as good as everything else, But those ones were ones I particularly enjoyed. I enjoyed Neil Young coming out and singing Helpless. Joni Mitchell is backstage on backup vocals. Although I kept picturing Bob Dylan backstage saying, "Hey, Neil, you stole that song from me." But I'm sure Dylan would say, hey, I stole that from someone else. So, anyways.
Oh, I don't think you would.
Oh, most rock players would all say that back then. They openly acknowledged that they were always borrowing from each other, and that's what pretty much all music does. That's why I think most music copyright lawsuits are BS, because nothing's created in a vacuum, and everybody borrows from everybody, unless you are really blatant about it. Really, really blatant, like say what Jimmy Page did with Dazed and Confused. You're not, in my opinion.
Parker Jr.
Oh, Ghostbusters. Yeah, I don't know if that's as blatant to me, but you can definitely see where it was influenced. That's a whole other argument. Yeah. We'll save that for another video. Yeah, we'll maybe discuss that sometime, and maybe I should take a closer look at both. But but otherwise, I thought it was a really enjoyable film. I'm glad I saw it later versus earlier, because certainly I can appreciate it much better. There certainly was a point in my life where I don't think I could have appreciated it as much, because like any youth, or like most youth, I'm more interested. I consider what's on commercial radio at the time that I'm growing up to be what's the best, and not really acknowledging the history. And I don't think I started to really acknowledge history until around, I'm thinking maybe, would you say it was like the late 90s? Because you were hanging around with me.
Yeah,
and
you appreciated the history of it.
Oh. Sorry about that, everybody. We lost our light.
Oops.
You were saying?
I think you did appreciate the history, just not necessarily that history. You hadn't delved that deeply, and there was a lot of it that you didn't like. I think you probably, I don't know. But
it's hard to say. Yeah, it's hard to say. This is quite some time ago. But I think, certainly appreciating it more now than later than then, I would probably say. But overall, I would say just a real time capsule of a film.
Yeah.
You have so many names in this film beyond the band. And I'll just go ahead and mention here, in case you're not familiar with the film, the movie is, of course, the band filming what's supposed to be their last performance. I honestly don't know if it really was their last performance, or if they ever performed after that.
I don't believe they did. No.
Yeah, we should look that up. But the idea is that Robbie Robertson, apparently, he talks about this at the end of the film, that he wants the band to stop performing live and just be a recording band, because he felt that they're not learning anything else from the road anymore. And also he was concerned that it would be detrimental to all of their health. He talks about how life on the road took away a lot of musicians, a lot of artists. Yeah, and he names names. And so he began to feel that it was something that could eventually lead to their demise, and so that was the reason for deciding to have a final concert. And then of course Martin Scorsese was brought into the project. And when he heard, I read a quote that when he heard that Van Morrison was going to be performing, it was like, well, I have to do it now. But yeah, I would say a real time capsule of a film. I mean, besides the band, which, by the way, I was mentioning this earlier. We've just got someone shooting, I guess. We're kidding. It's just fireworks. We get this every night. We live close to Disneyland. But
this is our neighbors.
But these are our neighbors. Yeah, they're into fireworks too. But at any rate, I was just going to say, the band, just that name, the band. I always thought, for decades now, that was perhaps the single best name for a band ever. And when I had my own bands, I used to wish that I could use that name, that it hadn't been taken, because I thought it was just the greatest name in the world. And of course, in the interviews in this film, we find out that their being called the band was just something that was kind of thrust upon them, not something they thought up.
It's just everybody called them the band.
Yeah, and eventually they just decided, okay, I guess that's what we're going to call ourselves at this point.
And they tried a couple other names, and everybody still called them the band.
Yeah, it never worked out. So it was just thrust on them. But one of the best names in history, I think, ever for a band, to just be called the band. I mean, how iconic. It doesn't get more iconic than that. Yeah, I think it's perfect. And the nice thing about a name like that is you can do anything because there's no expectations. You know, there are certain names that sometimes I think bring along with it certain expectations. And that's probably another conversation about band names. But a real time capsule, you know, Van Morrison, Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr, Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell. You know, it's just one famous name after another. And tremendous performances. Yeah.
Now they're pulling out the big guns.
They're pulling out the big guns now. Anyways, though, really glad I finally got to see this film. We watched it on the Criterion streaming service. We recently subscribed to Criterion because we wanted to watch different types of films and expand. And I wanted to expand my film vocabulary and knowledge, and I felt this was a good streaming service to do that with.
Yeah, it is. It's very good.
Yeah, we'll probably talk more about it later as we discuss different types of movies that we've seen and different genres of films. We've watched a lot of classic films that I know I never would have seen without it. Now that we've got this service, but at any rate, though, that's another conversation as well. But I'm very glad I saw this. I think Grogu even appreciated it.
Yeah, and that's definitely not in his
Yeah.
hip hop and punk. He likes punk too.
He likes punk too. Yeah, that's true. He does.
It's not in his
He's young.
house.
He's young. He's only what, about 75 years old or something? 80?
Well, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
And he was already 50, so.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to tell.
Say.
Yeah. He's kind of shy about his age. But anyways, yeah, I'm really glad I saw it. I assume you are too. I assume you'd give it a recommendation.
Definitely.
Yeah, me too. And so anyways, though, really glad I finally got to see this film. Just one great performance after another. If you've seen this film, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. And as always, if you like the videos on this channel, please hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And now, a big thank you to the patron supporters.
You're fierce and mighty.
We really appreciate you. And if you'd like to show some extra support, please go to patreon.com/TJR the original. Patron supporters receive weekly exclusive videos not available on the channel. And they also receive early access to select videos well before they ever reach the channel. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.